is second to none, and now he's sharing his insider information with you. Talk Football with Coach K starts right now on ESPN Pensacola.
And welcome into Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL coach Kay Stevenson. Got a lot to talk about today, Coach, and we got a special guest. I'll let you go ahead and prep us for that.
Well, we've got quite a bit coming up this entire week, and everything's going to be hot and heavy leading up to the Super Bowl. And we just had a huge weekend of the playoff games. But we are going to have on today at 12:15 one of the experts in player personnel and otherwise administration in the National Football League, and that's Bill Polian. And Bill's going to talk about a number of things. We're going to ask Bill about the matchup in the Super Bowl and a rundown on each team. We're going to ask him about a little bit about the situation with Joe Burrow and what may be developing there in the way of, he's an expert on the draft and behind the scenes and what's going on there. And also I'm going to allow him to talk a little bit about he felt the same way I did about, just a matter of time before a single-wing tailback, a team's going to force a single-wing tailback to start playing quarterback, and that's what happened at Baltimore. But anyway, we'll get a chance to talk about quite a few things, and should be of interest to our viewers and listeners.
Well, of interest, definitely of interest, especially around here. The Reese's Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama. Listen, if you've never been, this is a perfect opportunity. This is a really good roster they put out this year. Some really good quarterbacks. And no matter who you're a fan of, listen, we gave away tickets to this kid. It was a mother, and the kid was 9 years old and huge Georgia fan. Rodrigo Blankenship, the kicker, is going to be there. And he cried whenever he got the tickets. That's awesome. That's what it's about. Yeah. But that's only touching the surface of it. We had a winner, Coach, for your contest on Friday. It's a pair of Senior Bowl tickets. Goes to Charlie in Pace. So, Charlie, if you're listening, you got the tickets. You need to come pick them up here at the station. He picked the winner. And he picked the score of the Tennessee-Kansas City game. He said 35-27. So, congratulations, Charlie.
He came closest, and a good job, and we'd like to hear from all of our listeners out there. We've had some great phone calls here recently, too. And by the way, just so you could look ahead just a little bit on this, JP, we're going to have tomorrow, we got Bill Polian today. Tomorrow, we're going to have Joe Theismann on as a guest. And then on Thursday, we're going to have John Fox, former NFL head coach who took a team to the Super Bowl, and great guy, very, very worthy coach. So anyway, we've got a great lineup there, and it'll be interesting to hear what these people have to say.
Yeah, that is a heck of a lineup for sure. One thing, just a quick note on the tickets as well. You could come to the station here at ADX off of Plantation Road to pick them up. We'll have them here waiting on you. Coach, so getting into some topics, I know I'm eager to listen to what Bill Polian and you have to say as well, because it's always fun, the interviews that you have. A couple things. We're going to hit I want to hit the college scene real quick, or some big news. Jadeveon Clowney, his brother, Damone Clowney, just committed to Ole Miss. Now, here's the thing with that. The backstory was he had originally committed to LSU, but then he decommitted in December once, remember all this Lane Kiffin stuff came about and everything. Then he got DJ Durkin, because the young man is from Maryland. DJ Durkin came from Maryland. He recruited Maryland heavy. So there's a lot of pieces that kind of go into this. No matter what, Lane Kiffin's already made a splash. This is a good pickup for them. Damone Clowney, let's see, he's a highly touted prospect, and a lot of people thought LSU, they were going to snatch him up, maybe make him into a linebacker. He had a good build for that. He's real quick. He's a lot like Clowney himself. Tell you what, Coach, Lane Kiffin, I mean, it's a small step forward. They're still 41st in recruiting right now, but things are looking better.
Yeah, they'll pick up. This is he's late in recruiting this year, so you wouldn't expect much, but I think he'll pick up one or two here or there. And then recruiting going forward, I'm sure that they'll do a very good job at it. So look out. You get some people with a little know-how and some charisma about them, and know how to handle a winning football team, and they make things happen.
Another one to Georgia. The Georgia Bulldogs continue to make some noise here. It's good for them. Jake Fromm, of course, is going to the NFL now. They just got a commitment, and I know it's a 2021 commitment, but it's never too soon to pick up these type of commitments. It's a number 2 quarterback, number 2 prospect in Georgia, Vandergriff. He's a 6'3", 200-pound guy, originally committed to Oklahoma, but he decommitted, and we're seeing a lot of this. The commitments don't really mean much nowadays, but he decommitted in January this month. He is now committed to Georgia. That is number 24 overall recruit in the nation. That's quite a pickup for them. They have got a slew of really good quarterbacks that are sitting there waiting, and this young man, you add him to the mix, it's going to be tough for Georgia because they're in the SEC. But, Coach, that's another team right there making a splash pickup, hopefully.
Yeah, they've done an outstanding job. Kirby Smart's done a great job of recruiting since he went there, and certainly he, from being involved in the Alabama program, he realizes the importance of recruiting and keeping that depth and good recruits coming in, and they do stockpile them there, just like Alabama stockpiles them. There are a few other teams in the country that can lay claim to stockpiling good talent, but not many. But Georgia's one of them, and they're doing a heck of a job there. I really respect what they're doing.
And Coach Felipe Franks, former Florida quarterback, is now transferred to Arkansas. Now, for Arkansas, that's a huge pickup for them. They need all the pieces they can get right now. For Felipe Franks, I know it sounds cliche, but is this a good move? Is this the right move for him going forward?
Well, you'd have to say he's probably wise to transfer because I don't think there's any way at all that he would recapture the starting job there at Florida. And Arkansas might be a good place for him. But listen, you got to remember, a leopard doesn't really change his spots, and he's an up and down, very tough to get consistent type quarterback out of him. Quarterbacking, he's up and down, peaks and valley. You never know whether he's going to throw an interception or a touchdown, and so I don't know. I don't see him changing all that much. But Arkansas, listen, they don't have a lot of depth there either at any position, so could be a good move for him.
Yeah, Felipe Franks, he wasn't a terrible quarterback. He went through ups and downs. He has the potential to be really good. Listen, Chad likes him because the Red Sox drafted him as a baseball player. I mean, but regardless, I think it's a good move. I agree. He did need to get out of Florida. Whether Arkansas is the premier move, well, he may not have had a lot of choices as well either. I think it's good for an up-and-coming team in Arkansas with Sam Pittman and what they're trying to do out there. So,
yeah, I'm sure you're right. I don't think he had many choices, to be honest with you. So, he ends up, in the Southeastern Conference with a club who's starting over basically. So it may be a real good fit for him.
And coming up earlier this morning, Bill Callahan looks like he's going to be the Cleveland Browns offensive line coach. He's been regarded, and I don't know, maybe you know him. He's a top-flight offensive line coach in the NFL. He's highly sought out. A lot of people respect him very well. For the Browns, I mean, you're adding a good coach to your staff, so good move on your part. Do you know Bill Callahan?
I don't really know him personally that well. I certainly know quite a bit about him. I know what he's done, and he's done a good job. Bill's been. It's unusual to have a guy who's always taking over as the head coach. I don't mean this in the wrong way, but you'd have to give some second thought about. He took over at Oakland. He was head coach at Nebraska. Then he took over at Washington from an assistant job to the head coaching job. Yeah. Is that a little scary to somebody? I don't know. But I think he is regarded as a very, very good offensive line coach. And that's where I would place him in that category, offensive line coach, and one of the better ones, I think, at this point.
Well, Coach, I know you're all about changing the rules in the NFL. All the wacky things you enjoy over there. No, I'm just kidding. The NFL is going to test out an alternative onside kick in the Pro Bowl. I'm not sure if you've heard about this. If you haven't, people are saying, well, it's an indication the league is still considering the option, even though the owners have completely denied it. They want no part of this. Well, in the Pro Bowl, there's no kickoffs. We know that. Now there's a little twist to this, is the teams will have two options after scoring. The first is to give the ball back to their opponents, who would start their drive at the 25-yard line. The new second option is for the scoring team. They would serve as a substitute for an onside kick. It would allow to run one additional play from its own 25-yard line. If the scoring team gains 15 or more yards, it would retain possession. If it falls short, their opponents would take over at the dead ball spot. Essentially, it will be a 4th and 15 play. Is that something that we think we're going to see in the near future in the NFL?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think so. Just think about it for a minute, just off the top, okay? Look what an advantage you're giving a team that has a quarterback, a good quarterback, and at least one good receiver, one big receiver. That could be a throw up. That could be the basketball post and a jump ball. It could be any number of things that really don't give the other team much of a chance. So, no, I don't see that being a part of it.
It seems more of like we talked about yesterday when you talk about backyard football. You could have that one guy, and you could continuously just keep the football as well. And it's not football. It's not what the game is based on. It's not what it was built on. So I agree. Coach, I knew you were going to love that whole rule they're trying to implement.
Yeah, I don't go for that one. And yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Let's say if you spread out with 5 receivers out there, one of them being a Gronkowski, okay, in the slot, and you take everybody down and deep so that they have to cover him. Okay, and then you got Gronkowski on whomever. It could be 1 or 2. They could even have him doubled. And he goes down and posts up. And you get the ball. A good quarterback's going to put the ball up so only he can jump for it. You can make 15 yards.
Yeah, absolutely.
In a situation like that, you can give yourself a pretty good chance of picking that up. So anyway, that's just a thought. I just no, I don't think that'll ever be a part of it.
Yeah, it's we talk about the XFL and their new scoring rules and things they got going on as well. Listen, I get it, but this is okay for a Pro Bowl. That's fine, but otherwise, stay out of the NFL regular season. Listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get to a tremendous interview. Bill Polian will join the show here with Coach K as you're listening to Talk Football with Coach K here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Sometimes your bank, your family, and your friends love you, but they don't have the money to help you. Sometimes we have chances to make money, but the old saying, you've got to have money to make money, rings true. At Pensacola Specialty Pond, we can help. If you have trucks, heavy equipment, airplanes, boats, jet skis, anything with value, Pensacola Specialty Pond can loan you that short-term money you need. No credit checks, and at Pensacola Specialty Pond, you're going to find the money and the discretion you need.
Now at 6428 Pensacola Boulevard, north of Car City. Call 432-9050, 432-9050.
Redbox has the movies you've been waiting to see, starting at under $2 a night. Now available at the box and streaming on demand. Joker. Don't miss Joaquin Phoenix deliver a thrilling and unforgettable portrayal of Gotham City's most infamous villain. Rent the newest movies fresh from the theater at Redbox. Just head to one of the 41,000 Redbox locations or stream instantly on demand. Prices may vary by location, subject to applicable taxes. Additional terms at redbox.com.
2020 is going to be your year, right? Join that gym. Start that diet? Nah. How about getting out of that job and into a career? There are millions of unfilled cybersecurity positions in the U.S. right now, and My Computer Career is training people to fill them. No IT experience or education? No problem. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. You could start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. mycomputercareer.edu.
The Paul Feinbaum Show.
Everything you wanted to happen hasn't happened.
Oh, my gosh. That's all any of y'all want to talk about is Alabama.
You're really not understanding the conversation, but anyway, we can move on.
Alabama's dynasty has just begun.
Hold on a second, Charles. Somebody wants to talk to you.
I don't want to talk to that compelling moron.
He's nothing but a lame-headed old man.
2 till 5 every weekday afternoon. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
You out of your freaking mind, cow turd.
You're listening to Pensacola's home for hometown sports. ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM.
And welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL coach Kay Stevenson. And, Coach, boy, do we have a phenomenal interview. Listen, Bill Polian, I know he's a close friend of yours, Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's done about everything you can do when it comes to NFL, and he has some great insight. I know that I enjoy listening to him as well. And, Coach, I'm going to let you guys talk it out right here.
Yeah, Bill, again, I appreciate you taking the time to be with us, my friend. There's a lot of interest in hearing what you have to say, not only during the draft and so on, which we'll be into pretty soon, but also at this point in the year with the playoff games. So if we could, like to start with the 2 championship games and what you felt and if you thought that they were pretty much on track, or how you feel it came out with the Super Bowl, 2 Super Bowl participants.
Well, I do think that the 2 best teams are there, and the way our tournament is set up, Kay, as you know, it's really designed that way. The only fly in the ointment is that a team from a weak division that wins the division gets a home game in the first round, but as usually happens, that team went out and away we go. So the cream came to the top. I thought in the championship games, Kansas City showed that they're an exceptional team. Offensively, they don't run the ball very well, and typically you need to run the ball well, both in the playoffs and in the regular season, and certainly in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But they've got so much firepower, and Mahomes is so special that when you get to the point where, you're behind by 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, doesn't matter. I mean, he's got the wherewithal to bring him back, and they have the the scheme and the capability to bring him back, and they're all healthy now. Watkins really is a part-time player, and I doubt that he played more than 12 games this year, but he was healthy when it counted, and he made a huge difference because the Titans did not have the capacity to cover all three of the wide receivers that the Chiefs deployed, to say nothing of Kelsey, who's really their number one receiver. So that worked out the way I thought it would. The fact that they had to come from behind in both games is a bit scary, but I will say this, their defense got way better as the year went along, as you would expect. Steve Spagnuolo was a hell of a coach, and it took them a while to adjust to his system. It's different than the 3-4 that they played in years past. And once Chris Jones was back and able to play in the championship game, that made a huge difference against the run. They shut the run down, and then Tannehill and the Titans didn't have enough firepower to attack them through the air, and they couldn't ultimately match the firepower that the Chiefs had. So it was a good game, a great run by the Titans, who did, I think Vrabel and his staff did a great coaching job in terms of utilizing the talent that they had, principally Derrick Henry, and allowing Tannehill to do what he does best, which is to manage the game and make the throws he can make. And they went a long way. But in the end, Kansas City's a better team. On the other side of the coin, that the championship game was nothing more than a repeat of the regular season game between San Francisco and Green Bay, because Green Bay's defense is totally unreliable. They've been unreliable all year against good teams. They added people. Yeah, they have a new scheme, which is it's high risk, high reward. They took a lot of risk and didn't get a lot of reward against good teams throughout the season. The same held true. I've heard and read a lot of stuff about, the offensive line isn't good enough, and it really isn't. And they're missing a great wide receiver. They miss Jordy Nelson. Yes, they do. There's no question about that. They don't have enough weapons. But the bottom line is Aaron Rodgers can find a way to win. And the running back is really the best one they've had since the days of Mike Holmgren, I think. But defensively, they can't hold up. And the fact that the 49ers ran the ball was no surprise to anyone that reads. All you have to do is read the statistics every week. They're among the worst in the league in defending the run. And if you can't defend the run, you're not going very far.
Well, I would certainly agree with you on those two rundowns. I thought that early in the year, Bill, when we did our picks for the division winners and so on, I picked the 49ers to win that division. I felt that they had added some pieces, and I like Garoppolo. I don't care what people say about the kid. I think he's a heck of a quarterback. And there's no reason, I agree totally with the way they managed the game the other night. If you're going to run and your chump plays are runs that gain 40 yards, for crying out loud, why do you have to throw the football? So I agree with that. But if he needs to conduct a more diversified, balanced attack, I think they've got a good quarterback there. They certainly have some young kids there that can play, and mixed with a couple of vets that have given them some depth. So I like that football team. I don't know how you. I think they're talented and with depth in all phases, from special teams to defense to offense. I think they've got a heck of a lot of talent there.
I agree, and just look at special teams for a moment. Look at the return guys. The 49ers return guy is top shelf, and guess who's going to be returning for the other team? Tyreek Hill. So, even there you have great talent, because ultimately that's what you need to get where these teams are. I think the interesting thing about this upcoming game lies with the scheme that the 49ers play. Now, I know a fair amount about it because we played something similar to it in Indianapolis with Tony Dungy. And they're basically a zone team unless they're in a 3rd and 5 or less blitz situation. And the problem that they have playing zones is you have to get home with your rush, or else against talent like Kansas City has, and with a guy like Mahomes who can extend plays and find people down the field, there's difficulty with that because there are gonna be some holes, and he can make on the run every single throw. There's nobody like him in football today. He can make every single throw on the run, in the pocket. If he rolls to his right and he's beyond the numbers, he can throw that ball back across the field on a 9 route to the end zone if he has to. His arm is such that he can do it. His accuracy is such that he can do it. And he has confidence that he can do it. So playing zone against the array of talent that they have is really difficult if your rush can't get home. So to me, the number one battle in the Super Bowl is going to be, can Kansas City's offensive line, which is not great, they're good but not great, because Patrick makes up for a multitude of sins, as we know. A great quarterback covers up a multitude of sins. But if they can't match up against the great rush of San Francisco, which is the best part of their whole team, really, that's an incredible rush. 3 first-rounders,
yeah,
and a high free agent on the front, right? We'd all like to have that.
Absolutely.
but if Kansas City can't protect Patrick, then it could be a long day for them. If they can, it could be a longer day for San Francisco's secondary.
Yeah, you talk about Green Bay's defense. Heck, Green Bay's defense has been poor for years, going back to Favre even. I mean, they never could. I don't think they ever had what would be considered a Super Bowl type defense. They've won in other ways other than defensively. I see Kansas City as exactly like you do. They've been much better these last few ball games, 5 to 6 ball games, including the playoffs. But I don't see them as being a great defense, Kansas City. And, it's going to be up to – now they're not going to get away with San Francisco's not going to get away with running the ball 45 times and throwing 8. That's not going to happen. They're going to have a much better a more balanced attack, but that's going to be of interest as well. Your points of interest are certainly absolutely right on the money, but I think this is going to be a very, very interesting Super Bowl. I don't have any question about that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think you're right. By the way, Kansas City's defense is just coming into its own. They added some pieces, particularly the rushers, and that's helped. But you're right. 23, the safety. I'm forgetting his nickname now. LSU kid came over from the Arizona Cardinals. Honey Badger. He's like Patrick Chung of the Patriots. Different body type, but he's a really good zone player, very smart. You get him matched up man to man, he's going to lose most of the time.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And so, does he get San Francisco's best offensive player, which is the tight end? Or do they have to figure out a way to cover him up some? That's a matchup that clearly favors the 49ers. If you get in man-to-man situations now, Spags is really a good coach, and you're 100% right. He'll stop the run. He's not going to give up 40-yard gashes at a clip. But how does he handle the tight end? Because that guy's really very safe. You got the two best tight ends in football playing against each other.
Yeah, I know. That'll be interesting, too. Bill, talking about Kansas City, as I see what really jumps out to me, there's certain things on each football team that, to me, jump out as being a heavy plus in their favor. And one thing that, without any question, I've never seen a football team with as much speed on offense as this football team. We're talking about three people, not with good speed, but with world-class speed. I mean, you got the one kid there, Hill, I think, Tariq Hill, that ran a sub 4.3. Now,
that's right, and it translates on the field, too.
Yeah.
It's just not watch speed. He can go.
But
and Nicole Hardman can fly.
Yeah.
And can Sammy Watkins.
And the kid from they're just a fast football team, and I think that's what's winning a lot of the big plays that we're seeing. See, I don't buy. I heard a rundown the other day on television that ex-quarterback who's now a premier coach from Detroit, but he was giving on a tape of a game where the quarterback, he said, had determined where he was going to go with the football beforehand, and then he got flushed, and he ran to the right, almost to the sideline, but he did throw one back over the center fielder. They had a center fielder out there, and he threw one.
I remember the play
over the center fielder for a touch. Now let me tell you, there's no way on God's green earth that he knew that was an impromptu play made on the run. Now, don't you can do a lot of things, but don't take me down that dark alley.
Hey, man, it was perfectly impromptu, and here's why. I saw the same clip you did and was astounded because he knows better. The commentator does. They flushed by design. Their rush flushed Mahomes to the right. They wanted to flush him that way, probably thinking that we got an opportunity to cover. When you hem him in, you got a little more against the sideline. You get a lot, more opportunity to prevent it from making big runs, which he can do. And so, he decided, okay, you got me pinned against the sideline. Let me throw it about 85 yards in the air and hit this guy Watkins on a 9 route on the other side of the field. How many people can do that?
Yeah,
only one that I know of.
But maybe Rodgers in his 4 or 5 years ago, two or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But
Jim Kelly in his day.
Yeah,
that's right.
Kelly in his day. Yeah. But anyway, it's a very, very interesting setup. I think the pluses and the minuses going into this ball game are going to be very evident. Now, let me jump. I've got to jump here, Bill, to get in as much as I can without imposing on you. Got to ask you, and this was one of the questions that a number of our people wanted you to jump on. Big topic of conversation around here is you might imagine, Joe Burrow, quarterback over at LSU. And then you got Tua at Alabama. And Jake Fromm at Georgia, all coming out this year, and you got the Justin Herbert from Oregon, and also Eason from Washington coming out. There are quite a few quarterbacks, and the reason that I mention all of them is because it's going to leave open the ability to maybe make some deals during the draft, before or during the draft. Do you agree?
I agree, and add to that mix the fact that you have potentially Phillip Rivers and potentially Eli Manning and potentially Tom Brady also available. So it's going to be an interesting quarterback year. If you're Indianapolis with a great offensive line and decent receivers and a good running back and a pretty decent defense, do you go for one of the veterans?
I would go for Tom Brady.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, you bet. I'd love to have Brady now.
There you go. So, and you're down drafting where you're probably not going to get Burrow or Tua. With Tua, we've already talked about that on a previous show. You know, the medical evaluation will be everything.
Yeah.
But Burrow, to me, is Aaron Rodgers. Both in size, stature, arm strength, accuracy, ability to make plays, almost personality-wise, he's similar. When I see him, I see Aaron Rodgers, so that's more than good enough. Tua's good enough in every respect. I've looked at all the film, by the way. Tua's good enough in every respect. I mean, he jumps off the film at you. And it doesn't matter whether he's playing with the three great receivers, which they have, or three guys they picked up out of the fraternity house. He's still going to be great. So those two stand out. But then, as you mentioned, the others all have a chance. And then you add that to the three veterans who will be available, plus Andy Dalton. It's going to be an interesting quarterback year. There'll be a lot to talk about after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think the little redhead's going to have a tough time finding a home. But now here's an interesting. Let me run through a couple of different scenarios here and see what you think. Here's one. We're talking about Cincinnati, so you know they're off the wall anyway on what they're going to do. You remember we used to just wait for the Cardinals to make a draft pick because they'd be picking in the first round, they'd be picking the 50th or 60th guy on the board. But Cincinnati is sitting there with the first pick right now, and you've got a Joe Burrow, but you also have the ability, because there are going to be a lot of other people that are going to be trying to get to the point. Burrow's a once in a lifetime, I think, to get Joe Burrow. Now, what if they could end up with, Bill, an opportunity to move down just a little and end up with the second pick, let's say in the draft, second or third pick in the draft, end up with the pass rusher out of Ohio State there, and Tua. You know, if they could end up with two players like that, or even the pass rusher and
from Auburn,
Justin Herbert,
or Justin Herbert,
yeah, somebody like that, and my goodness, what you get your quarterback and your pass rusher, the two things you got to have.
Well, Duke Tobin, who worked with me in Indianapolis, is now essentially the general manager in Cincinnati, was quoted this morning as saying they hadn't made up their mind, that they had to talk through all the scenarios. And that's the right thing to do because, depending on what people are willing to offer and depending on what your medical evaluation of Tua was, that's the it factor. You know, to me, the medical evaluation of Tua is critical because if for example, the doctor gave you 100% green light, which I kind of doubt will happen, but you never know.
Yeah.
Then he's just slightly ahead of Burrow, I think. It's in the eye of the beholder, but let's just say they're side by side. So then you're in a position where you got a world of things that you can do. If you're willing to settle for Herbert, there's even more that you can do. And Cincinnati is a team that needs a big rebuild. They're a team whose talent has waned over the past 3 years. And so that's a real option for them that they have to consider. They're a very conservative organization. And Mike Brown, the owner, has learned from his father, Paul Brown, that no one is more important than the quarterback. So I would think they'd probably lean toward using the pick on a quarterback if they really believed in him. But you have to consider the alternatives, that's for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, look, I've got one other thing here. I want to I have one comment I want to make and just leave it with you, and then I want to leave you the opportunity, because you and I talked about this earlier on when people were saying the best player in the National Football League, most valuable player is Lamar Jackson at Baltimore, and blah blah blah, and on and on. And I've said from the beginning that he is, in essence, what he is. He's an old single wing Tennessee tailback playing quarterback in the National Football League. And if teams ever get to the point that they can slow that up to the point that they have to throw the football, and they want to try to throw the football against NFL pass defenses with 3 tight ends and a questionable passer, they got problems. And of course it pops up again right there. You get into the playoffs, and to ask him to throw the ball 59 times is like signing a surrender before the game starts. So.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I think you'll see more specialized defenses last year. I don't want to take too much of your time, but it's interesting. I've been asking people for the last 3 weeks, what would you do? How would you play him? Well, Tennessee played him to spill. They spilled him everywhere he went. So there was only one time when he got free up the middle when a rusher got out of their lane. That's undisciplined play. You have to remain in your lane and squeeze him. But they spilled everything because those designed runs are nothing more than single wing tailback power plays.
Yeah.
So they spilled it. They wouldn't let him cut it back into the gaps. So that's one way to do it. A coach that I really respect, a defensive guy that I really respect, said, "What do you think the Patriots would do if they played him again?" And I said they'll go the 6-1 route, what they did against Los Angeles in the Super Bowl, where they just took away the outside zone and took away the option. So that's another way to do it. I've talked to people who say do what Rex Ryan did in years past against Michael Vick, line up 5 front guys, 5 big guys on 5 big guys, and now set the edge with your linebackers and dare them to throw the football, make them throw the football. The thing you can't do against him, which Tennessee didn't do but for one play, is rush pell-mell up the field. You can't do that, because if you give him even the slightest daylight, he'll take off. And then when he's one-on-one on somebody, I mean, he's going to win that all the time.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about that. Yeah.
If you keep him in the pocket and you squeeze him and you make them, and you get a lead and you make them throw the ball, they're out of their comfort zone. That's
sure.
The
key. Listen, this is the National Football League we're talking about. It's not college, and the name of the game is exactly what you said. Make them throw the football. I know if we were game planning a guy like that, we would have one objective in mind: make them throw the football. Period. And if you do, you've got a heck of a chance of winning the ball game. It's amazing. I'm going to let you go, Bill, and I'm going to ask you to come back with us a couple of times. During the Indianapolis party down there, and then also the draft. But it's an amazing thing. I'll let you think about this one, and the next time we get together, I want you to give me your rendition here. Tom Brady, and Breeze and Rodgers. All three, but primarily Brady and Rodgers, played the entire year with no help, and with the receivers with no help. And even though Breeze had the one kid that just set the world on fire, think about it, he really could have used another receiver, another number two receiver in his arsenal. Brady, Rodgers, and Breeze, lack of talent around them, period. Thank you, Bill, for your time.
My pleasure, Kay. Always a pleasure to be with you.
Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And that's Bill Polian right there, and what a great interview. And on that note, we'll talk more about it when we come back. We got to take some breaks and catch back up here. You're listening to Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 991 FM.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck, Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
What if people had a battery level icon? Like on your phone? You'd see a lot of us in need of a recharge. Thank goodness there's 5-Hour Energy. Because just one sugar-free, vitamin-packed 5-Hour Energy shot can get you all the way back to 100% fast. And isn't life better at 100%? 5-Hour Energy. Get back to 100%. For more information, visit 5hourenergy.com.
The great thing about facts, they're proven. Like the fact that crude oil contains impurities, or that base oil made from natural gas is 99.5% free of impurities. And the fact that Pennzoil is the first synthetic motor oil made from natural gas, not crude oil. It gives you unbeatable engine protection. The proof is in the Pennzoil. Based on Sequence 4A wear test using SAE 5W30. Available at AutoZone and AutoZone.com.
Get to B-Dubs on Thursdays for buy one, get one free boneless wings. Or as we like to say, 100% more wings. That's right. When you buy boneless wings on Thursdays, you get the same amount of wings for $0.00. Basically, the second order is 100% off. So get here for buy one, get one free boneless wings on Boneless Thursdays. Buffalo Wild Wings. Roar! Buy one, get one of equal value free. Dine in at participating locations. Takeout is limited and may vary by location. Size exclusions may apply while supplies last. Limit one offer per customer. Not valid with any other coupon.
You're listening to Pensacola's home for hometown sports. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL coach Kay Stevenson. Coach, that interview was long-winded but well worth it is what I will say. It went a little long for us, but we don't care here because, listen, what he had to say, Coach, you said it on our break. His insight is phenomenal. I mean, it
Yeah.
is top notch. It's not anything like you're going to get.
No, you're not. You're not going to get that type information, in-depth football information, anywhere else. I mean, you put on any other sports program in the country, and I don't think that you'll be able to duplicate it.
One thing I do, we got a little bit of short of a segment here. He said the Bengals need a full rebuild, and that's where I think it's a lot for a lot of people, including myself, until listening to him. It was cut and dry. You take Joe Burrow and continue on in your rebuild here. But he said they need a lot of pieces here, and it's an interesting fact because, well, if they get the right offer, do we think they're going to take this? I mean, we've seen the Bengals do some crazy things in the past, but do you take Joe Burrow, coach, and move on, or do you think about these other offers?
Let me point this out real quick. Just put yourself in this position. All the people out there listening, okay? Let's say you've got the quarterbacks right now. Everybody's got them rated. That'll change some when you get to the workouts and all the other things that go on. It'll change some, but it's probably not going to change a whole heck of a lot. I would suspect that the number one quarterback right now on everybody's list is Burrow. A very close second is Tua. Very close second. The only problem with Tua is you got to get that medical release, and there's some medical groups now that are not going to put their name on the line. I've been through it with them. But at any rate, let's say he's healthy. They're right together. And then you got some people that like Herbert out in Washington. They think he's right in there in that mix. I think he's a distant, not a distant, but he's certainly not with the first two. He's not on that level. But and then some people like Fromm, and some people like Eason. So there are a number of options out there. Some people like some of the quarterbacks that are going to be free agents and doing something there. What if you got a quarterback you liked and also the pass rusher, Young, from Ohio State? Okay, there are two things you have to build a football team. You've got to have a quarterback, number one, and number two, you got to have a pass rusher, one that can affect the ball game. If they could get both by moving down a little, what would that do to your football team overall? So that's my only point. It's well worth thinking about, and it's certainly a possibility.
I think he's right. The Bengals coming out, a lot of people probably made fun of it, saying that, well, we don't know exactly. It's not set in stone who we're going to take number one. That's smart on their part because you get these offers and things like that. You can set yourself up for a lot of success by saying less. Sometimes less is more.
Well, you do want to say some things. You want to say enough to keep them off balance, okay? Make them think you're doing one thing when you're not really going to do it. But the one thing you do want to do, without any question, is you leave all your options open right up until the last second, until you have to make that pick.
Yeah, it's the NFL draft. I know it's a little while away, but it's always so intriguing. And you're right. And listen, another big part of the draft as well, things can change. We got the Reese's Senior Bowl this Saturday.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert's going to be there. I'm hoping it'll look, this game is going to help guys like him. He can do himself a lot of favors, Justin Herbert, and upping his draft stock to put him in the upper echelon. He's not a Joe Burrow or a Tua, but he's not too far off. He's got some things. He's got some things he's got to fine tune, but nonetheless, we got to take another quick break real quick. When we come back, we'll talk some NFL news, maybe a couple college tidbits here coming up. You're listening to Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text. Stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Dude, it's game day, and I'm fired up that football is back.
I know, but I'm bummed they don't show my favorite team on TV around here.
All right, well, what about that place Calvert's? They're a really cool English pub-style restaurant, and they have a really good drink menu.
Yeah, but what about the game?
Don't worry, they have the NFL Sunday ticket and plenty of TVs, so we can watch any game that we want.
Ooh, I just looked at the menu, and that Abbey Road burger is calling my name.
Calvert's in the Heights Restaurant and Bar, 3102 East Cervantes Street, calvertsintheheights.com.
There's only one place in town for the lowest prices and greatest selection of firearms. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Visit our fully stocked Gun Pro Shop for new and used firearms, accessories, and ammunition. Check out the Indoor Shooting Range. We offer rentals on guns, including fully automatic machine guns and silencers. Ladies, this is the safe place to learn how to use a gun. Plus, Tuesday is Ladies' Day. Women shoot for half price all day. The best place to buy firearms in Pensacola. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Highway 29 in Car City.
2020 is going to be your year, right? Join that gym. Start that diet? Nah. How about getting out of that job and into a career? There are millions of unfilled cybersecurity positions in the U.S. right now, and My Computer Career is training people to fill them. No IT experience or education? No problem. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. You could start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. mycomputercareer.edu.
You're listening to Pensacola's home for hometown sports. ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
And welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. Just a couple minutes here with you. Had Bill Polian on the show. Phenomenal, as always. Coach, I know we got a couple minutes. I do want to mention something. We talked about it earlier. The big story that I guess in the news right now is, should Dak Prescott get paid? Now, he's wanting $40 million. I think it's interesting here. $40 million, no offense, and Cowboys fans, I don't know, don't take this the wrong way, but what has he done for you when they had to go out and get Amari Cooper? Bart Scott made the point this morning. You're going to pay this guy $40 million when he hasn't led you really anywhere. I don't know, Coach. Is this a good idea to give him $40 million?
No, it's not. It's hard for me to it's hard for me to fathom all these salaries that they're throwing around. But bottom line is, if you're going to be the highest paid player in the National Football League, you better be regarded as one of the top players, if not the top player in the league. Now, if anybody's worth $40 million, it's Tom Brady. But he wouldn't do that. He wouldn't impose that that hardship on his football team.
Right.
And listen, Dak Prescott's going to need a lot of help around him. He's proven that around him if he's going to win. So how are they going to go get these other players? And it's also been a fact that if one player is taking up 15% of your cap, nobody's ever made it to the playoffs there.
Well, one thing to remember is they paid Ezekiel Elliott, and that it didn't work out so well. Coach, Cowboys fans, you telling them that they shouldn't pay Dak Prescott, they're saying, God, get out of here. No, but I tell you what, they better wake up and learn from that Ezekiel Elliott situation they ran into last year. Don't go paying all these guys until they prove it.
Well, you can't. He doesn't have to be paid as the highest paid player in the league. What are we talking
about?
Just
a competition at this point.
We're talking about dissing somebody. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable to me.
I agree. It's just nothing but a big competition here. Listen, I'm going to say it. Don't pay Dak. Go find you some more help. But Coach, it's been a pleasure today. We had a lot of fun today.
You bet, and we'll tomorrow. Looking forward to that.
Absolutely.
Don't forget now we got Joe Theismann on tomorrow and John Fox on Thursday.
You hear that? Joe Theismann and John Fox coming up this week as well. Be sure to tune in. You've been listening to Talk Football with Coach K here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 991 FM.
Sports Drive with Chad Brillante. Plus talk football with Coach K at noon, sports call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Here's what's happening 1 year after Mariano Rivera made history as the first unanimous selection to the Baseball Hall of Fame. His longtime Yankees teammate Derek Jeter could become the second man to appear on 100% of the ballots. The Hall of Fame's class of 2020 announced 6 Eastern tonight. Red Sox second baseman Dustin Pedroia suffered a significant setback in his recovery from knee surgery. The 36-year-old questionable for spring training. He's mulling his options with his family. Pedroia has played in 9 total games the last 2 seasons after knee surgery in October of 2017. NFL, ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting Patriots receiver Julian Edelman underwent a shoulder procedure last week, is expected to be ready for the team's off-season program. Browns receiver Odell Beckham Jr. underwent surgery to repair a core muscle injury. Team said he's expected to make a full recovery. Lane Kiffin picked up his first big commitment as head coach at Ole Miss when ESPN 300 defensive end Ramon Clowney committed to the Rebels. He is the cousin of Seahawks defensive end Jadeveon Clowney.
Coming up on Wednesday in honor of Zion Williamson's NBA debut, the season can finally begin, and we'll bring you up to speed in a way only we can. Plus, there was a lot of respect when he left the game, but is he 100%? Go Look and Win, go Wednesday, 6 Eastern, ESPN Radio, ESPN 2.
First Take, your take on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80, and of course, ESPN News. I'm Jason Fitz. We're presented by Progressive Insurance. All of our guests appear on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, and that's where you guys can hang out with us, too. We've been asking you, one of the big debates this morning, did the Patriots make a mistake in trading Jimmy G? You've been tweeting me, at Jason Fitz. You can keep doing that. Hashtag First Take. You can call us, too, 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. But we're also going to spin you forward to another question, because there was another heated debate today, one of many on First Take this morning, and that debate was about more than just the Patriots. It was about the MVP, not just in football, but in all of sports. See, the question is, as we look at the performance of Patrick Mahomes, and we look at the performance of, we all know, LeBron James in this season he's having, that there's a real question about who the MVP is in all of sports. I want to get your thoughts on it. I've already had some really good tweets on some different answers that you might not expect. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Who's the MVP of all of sports? We'll take your calls in just a couple of minutes. But first, let's get to some Straight Talk brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. And that Straight Talk comes from the panel. Richard Jefferson joining Dan Orlovsky and Max Kellerman debating the MVP in all of sports.
It's Patrick Mahomes if he wins the Super Bowl this week, or 2 weeks. If he wins, first of all, what sport is king in America?
Well, first of all, we're not talking about later.
She didn't start with you.
Now.
She didn't start with you.
We said now. We're talking about now.
You done?
Can you stay current? He hasn't won a Super Bowl yet. Can you stay current? That's all I'm asking.
Did she start with you?
All right, go.
All right, if he wins, it's Patrick Mahomes. Football, I'm sorry to bring it to you, it is king in America, and he's the king of the sport right now. And I go back to this that I said yesterday. He's doing things that we have not seen. Like the fact that when he starts at quarterback, that team scores 33 points a game, and no team has ever done that. The fact that if he wins the Super Bowl, he runs Super Bowl and MVP before the age of 25. Never been done before. He's got 3 games with 3 passing touchdowns before Russell did it, before Aikman did it, before Steve Young did it. All-time greats at that position. And there's no one that is moving the needle, outside of Tom Brady maybe, at that spot right now, more than Patrick Mahomes. If he wins the Super Bowl, he's the face of American sports.
Can you win MVP in all of sports when you're not even the MVP this season?
Well, injuries. Injuries. He didn't play all the games.
Jackson's the MVP this season.
If he plays all the games, though, he wins MVP.
Let's wait to the end of the season to see who we think is MVP.
Let me
say
this,
and I'm glad.
Interject, Rich.
And I appreciate you breaking it to me that football is king. But I'm glad you did that. Because you know who I believe right now, today, is the king in American sports? I still believe it's Tom Brady. I know everyone's kind of blowing their mind right now. Tom Brady, right? Because you're talking about if Patrick Mahomes wins.
Right.
So if Patrick Mahomes doesn't win,
correct,
right? Tom Brady did something at the age last year, won a Super Bowl, won his 6th Super Bowl, separated himself from everybody. LeBron James is coming off an injury year, and so we'll see. But if LeBron James hasn't won another championship, Tom Brady is coming off a Super Bowl. He is the king of American sports. Why? Because he is the best player in the biggest sport, and he's still
Who's the best player?
Or I'm saying he's the greatest. I believe that Tom Brady is the greatest player ever in the best sport and in the #1 sport in America.
Not anymore.
Right now. Right? What are you talking about? Not anymore. He's just coming off a Super Bowl.
No, he's not. He's coming off a first-round playoff exit.
Last season. But we're talking about Mahomes in the future, so we can still talk about just this past season with Tom Brady.
Let me just be very
because
clear.
we said right now.
I'm talking about Mahomes
right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Here's the problem.
If Mahomes loses, you're going to say he's the king?
LeBron James is not the best player in basketball. He may not be the 2nd or 3rd best, but he's among the best, and there's not much difference between the best and him. He's right in that mix, and if it's a career achievement award, it's LeBron. And if it's who's the biggest economic engine in sports, it's LeBron. No question. If it's who's the most famous worldwide, it's LeBron. But if it's who's the MVP in sports, meaning the contribution you make on the field in your sport, Patrick Mahomes is so clearly the best football player in the world.
We're not changing.
And I would argue we're changing. We're like,
who's the
MVP of American sports right now?
Patrick Mahomes.
But we never say MVP, and MVP awards are not handed out for who's the most valuable in terms of economic impact or who's the most valuable in terms of career. They're handed out right now. The distance between Patrick Mahomes and the 2nd best guy is greater than LeBron, who's not even the best, and Patrick Mahomes plays the #1 sport in the country.
He hasn't won a ring. He hasn't won a ring or a Super Bowl MVP.
He's started 31 games.
Let's stay right there. Let's stay right there. Rings are important. Actually, more in basketball than football, because the best player in the game, particularly when he's matched with another all-star, has a shot at a ring every single year. In football, it's much more dependent on the pieces around you, even at quarterback. And yet, Mahomes, 76 touchdowns, 18 interceptions over his career so far, went 50 touchdowns last year and was a pre-snap penalty away from going to the Super Bowl, where they probably would have won, looking at what the Rams did in the Super Bowl. And this year's in the Super Bowl. 2 seasons as a starter.
Thank you.
Quick question.
Please.
Most valuable player. So I had this conversation yesterday with Max about he thinks best and most valuable is the same thing. He thinks they're the same thing. It's not. All right?
It's not.
Was Steve Nash the best player in the NBA when he won MVP?
No, he was the best player on the best team.
All right. When James Harden won the MVP, was he the best player or the best offensive player?
Best offensive player.
So would that make him more valuable, or that just make him the best offensive player?
Made him the best offensive player on the best team.
So we have a number of instances. We have a number of instances in sports where the most valuable guy was not the best guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Slick.
LeBron James.
Okay.
LeBron James. We talking about, because the conversation initially started between Mahomes and LeBron James. Those were the guys we were talking about. LeBron James teams don't go to the playoffs when he's not playing. Ever. I'm not talking about best. I'm talking about value. Do we think the Kansas City Chiefs would be in the playoffs if Pat Mahomes wasn't a quarterback? No question.
Nope.
They would not be in the playoffs.
Nope.
No.
They
I mean,
went
who's the
1-1
quarterback? Are you going to give me, like, the 2nd best quarterback in the league?
All right, glad you said that. Quick question.
Did the Lakers make the playoffs last year?
Where was Kansas City when Alex Smith was starting?
Alex Smith was a #1 overall pick who had a resurgence.
Max, don't tell me nothing about no #1 pick.
He was
the #1
pick.
Did the Lakers go to the playoffs last year?
No.
Was LeBron on the Lakers last year?
Hold on.
Okay, well, he was hurt this year.
He got hurt.
Marcus, I
Mahomes
got
was
you
hurt this
down
year.
the line on this, okay? First, LeBron James. Take LeBron off, add another top 5 player to play with AD. Where would the Lakers be?
In the postseason.
Okay, that's one. 2, what you're arguing is that the writers... What you're arguing is the writers frequently get MVP wrong. In other words, simply because
everybody wrong and you right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
There we go.
But here's my question.
Now you get the show.
Now I got it.
But here's my question.
Understand.
Because you're using factual evidence. You're using but why are you running from the factual evidence of Patrick Mahomes? No one has won the Super Bowl MVP before the age of 25.
Hold on, Dan. First
He
of all,
hasn't won the Super Bowl MVP. He hasn't even played in the Super Bowl yet.
But he won MVP last year.
The question is,
if he wins Super Bowl this year.
What you're doing is assuming that Pat Mahomes will do these things.
Correct.
What I'm doing is telling you that somebody has already done it.
You're also assuming that if the Chiefs had another quarterback other than Patrick Mahomes, they'd be in the playoffs. That's an assumption.
They were before he started.
3 years ago, Marcus.
You guys can keep talking about LeBron James, and we can keep talking about this. At the end of the day, right now, and I'm going to bring this back.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady was not the most valuable player on his own team this year.
After the season when they lost in the wild card at Foxborough.
And part of the reason why he's going to hold them hostage is because he had no weapons. He had nothing around him. And this is why I want to say this. If we were to sit down really quickly, listen really quickly. If we were to sit here and say, whose career would you rather have? Who's had a more
lifetime achievement award?
If you were to have a better career, and again, he just won the Super Bowl last year.
If it's
last year we were talking about LeBron James like he was done, like he was never going to be good again.
By the way, Tom Brady won the Super Bowl in the lowest scoring Super Bowl ever.
Does not matter.
Excuse me. A lot of other quarterbacks could have won the Super Bowl with that Patriots team. A lot of other quarterbacks. But if it's a lifetime achievement award, then it's Tom Brady or LeBron James.
That's Straight Talk Wireless, everything for less, only at Walmart. And that's the first take on who the MVP is in all of sports. We want your take. 888 say ESPN, 888-729-3776. That's how you get in on the conversation. Also, you can tweet me at Jason Fitz, #First Take. I want to give Roy a shout out here, by the way. Tweeted, how valuable is Serena Williams to women's tennis? I mean, there are more than just two athletes in this conversation. And how do we decide on value? I mean, most valuable to me means so many different things. It's not just the best player. It's not called the best player award. It's the most valuable player, which leaves a little bit of gray area on what value is. Is value added a portion of this conversation? I will continue to say that there is one team in the NBA that would not even be talked about if they didn't have their star player, and that's the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Like, you couldn't beg somebody to buy a Bucks shirt if it wasn't for Giannis. Is that not value added, not just on the court, but off the court and attention? So tweet me, who out there is adding value all across the board? Now, John in Ohio got an interesting MVP in all of sports takes. So, John, what do you got? Thanks for calling the show. Who's your MVP?
Well, to me, if you're going to go most valuable as far as in all sports, I'd have to throw Tom Brady in there, even though I'm not a Patriot fan. But because of his age and what he did with the players that, he had around.
Well, John, I appreciate the call. And look, I mean, Brady is going to go down in history as likely the best quarterback, if not one of the best quarterbacks. We all know that, but likely the best quarterback of all time. So obviously there's a value to him as a player. But let's also remember that when he's been hurt in the past, the Patriots have won without him. I'm just saying that that is at least an asterisk on the most valuable player conversation. You can keep tweeting me at Jason Fitz. The other question we've been asking you throughout the course of the morning is, did the Jimmy Garoppolo trade hurt the Patriots? Did they make a mistake in trading him? Bunch of calls on this. Willie in California, did the Jimmy G trade hurt the Patriots? What do you think?
I think it did, because I think that Belichick's long-term goal was to have Tom Brady as your quarterback and then groom Garoppolo and bring him along. Now it's kind of crippling the fact of him being a head coach now with New England, because I think he's going to leave because he has no one to take over as the head quarterback now, because all his plans have been in disarray, unless, of course, Tom Brady decides to come back. But as a Niner fan, I'm happy it happened.
I'll bet, Willie. I mean, come on. The Niners got in early on Jimmy G, and a lot of people thought they'd lost their minds when they did it. And it is a great point that if Belichick stays, I mean, I've had a bunch of people asking me what happens to the Patriots long term. Well, let's remember, if Belichick stays, Patriots, in all likelihood, are still going to be Vegas favorites on a lot of these things. So I'm not sure that we can look at it and say that there's an easy answer to that. By the way, that dude Dub, I just wanted to read that Twitter handle. It's going to be one of my favorite things, these Twitter handles. I don't know where you come up with them. Said, Patrick Mahomes has to at least win a Super Bowl to be in the running. King James is the MVP of sports right now, hands down. Man, I don't know. I mean, I'm with Trey Wingo on this. Wins and losses, not just a quarterback stat. We'll keep taking your thoughts on it. In the meantime, another hot topic throughout the course of the NBA yesterday had to do with comments that Kyrie Irving made. I want you to hear Kyrie's comments first, and then we'll get into some of the reaction. This is Kyrie Irving yesterday.
When I was out for those 7 weeks and not saying anything, and still people are still saying things about me, it's inevitable. You know, they crucified Martin Luther King for speaking about peace and social integration. You know, you could go back to historical leaders and great people in society that do great things, and they're still going to talk about them. It is what it is.
As Kyrie gets the microphone and uses a very awkward, for some, analogy of his level of importance and societal importance, it creates a very difficult conversation, one that the guys had this morning where Max Kellerman and Marcus Spears had the opportunity to talk about it. Check out what Marcus Spears had to say about these statements.
Kyrie's biggest problem is Baker Mayfield's biggest problem. They talk too damn much. That's like the old school Southern in me that's listening to my mom and my grandmother and my dad is like, yo, stay away from that. Like, you talking too much. So when you go down this history of Kyrie saying things and you think about the putting on blast, and even I'll go a step further, Max, even what we're seeing with Boston and Kimba right now. There is indictment after indictment about Kyrie and his ability to go into a culture and interject something that's pretty negative, right? So regardless of if he feels persecuted or if he thinks it's unfair criticism of the things that he does and says, the problem is that Kyrie keeps talking about things and personalizing them to everybody that doesn't care.
Max, I have a question. Is Kyrie who the haters say he is? Now we've seen the history, what happened potentially at Cleveland, didn't get along with LeBron. We know part of that was LeBron's fault. Then he goes to Boston. It's supposed to be a great situation. He wants to be the man. That doesn't work out. He leaves. We see what Boston does. Now we're hearing rumors with the Nets. He talks about the persecution. But is perception reality?
Yeah, I think the perception of Kyrie is pretty much on the money as a guy who does not have the kind of leadership qualities, at least not yet, that you want from a point guard who you're hoping is going to have a team gel. I will say this, though, about Kyrie. I'll ask you guys. Anyone have a feeling that Kyrie is done winning championships? Because I don't. I have a feeling Kyrie is going to win at least one more championship in his career. He's that kind of cat. So there is, look, this is what I think his real problem is. His impulse is a good one. To want to be smart and to want to be known that way, at least, to have aspirations. Yeah, to be an aspirational intellectual, like he wants to be. That's a good impulse, but it's coupled in his case with what appears to me to be a thin ego. Like he wants it, but you can easily poke at him, and it
Max,
really
that was my point for saying everything I just said. All right. Once you put yourself out there in that water, be ready for what's coming.
Right.
It's coming. When you say things out of the ordinary or when you say something that other people don't like, it's coming. Stop complaining about the reaction. That's Kyrie's biggest problem. It's everybody else's fault. Fine, if you feel that way, great. But we're in a business where we talk on television every day and we get criticized, scrutinized. People tell us we don't know what the hell we talking about. And we take it with a grain of salt. Sometimes we talk about it, sometimes we respond. Kyrie, he internalizes this and feels like it's an attack from people he doesn't know. That's been my thing with KD as well. Like everybody say, well, this is a different crop of guys and it's social media and those people don't matter. I get that. I get that you want to respond and defend yourself. The problem is when you let people know it bothers you to your core because you continue to bring it up.
This is deeper, though, and I want to come to you with this, but invoking your name with Martin Luther King Jr., can't you see that as offensive?
Yeah, but I'm with Max on that. Like people use that as an analogy. I've heard it. People, they crucified Jesus, and I've heard all of that, right? And I get the sentiment of where you're coming from.
You're making yourself too important.
It's a part of how you internalized.
It's the same reason that Shakespeare wrote about kings and queens, because you're dealing with human drama, but if you elevate it, people understand it. They're characters that they think.
An analogy.
I just can't understand basketball fans to what Martin Luther King Jr. dealt. I don't understand that at all.
But in the way that he's telling on himself is twofold there. He thinks he's more important than he is, right? There's some connection to that. And also he feels persecuted. But I'm not going to beat a guy up on the air for making an analogy to make a point. You know, it's so easy for the media and fans in the Twitter outrage culture, right? You click for you know what social media is really about something like this, or even a show like this, we're going to talk about it, but especially social media. You click for a shot of righteous indignation. You can be indignant, and you take that little shot right to the vein of it, and you feel indignant for a minute, and then you move on. I'm not going to do that to Kyrie here. I don't think that's what it's really about. I do think it's about he feels persecuted out of proportion. He does seem to think he's a little more important than he is, but we're doing a segment on him. If when you turn on the TV, people are talking about you, you think you're pretty important.
No question.
So I want to say something else. I wanted to get this in. Carson Wentz doesn't run his mouth and talk and da-da-da, and he's not known as a bad leader, right? I'm highly critical of Carson Wentz on this program. I never say he's not good. I understand he's good. What I'm saying is the talent versus the accomplishment versus where he is does not match. It's mismatched still. And Wentz had a good second half and all that stuff. So you hate on Wentz. I'm not hating on Wentz. I'm telling you, I look at his talent, should be top 5, but he's not top 5. I look at Kyrie Irving. He is the most skillful player, I believe, who's ever touched a basketball. Think about that. Pure skill, handles, shot, finishing in the paint, distributing his skills. The wisdom in terms of how to deploy those skills and to lead a group of guys is where I think he is deficient. Because I don't think he's a top 5 player in the NBA. He may not be top 10, but his skills are top 1.
But Max,
that difference is why I'm critical.
And what you just said is really where I am. The ability of a leader is to take the arrows for everybody else.
It's First Take, Your Take on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, SiriusXM Channel 80, also ESPN News. I'm Jason Fitz. You guys are tweeting all sorts of thoughts on who the MVP is in all of sports, as we've gotten several votes at this point for Tiger. Darren comes in and says MVP of American sports, Simone Biles, the most dominant American athlete in the world, and then says we're all obsessed with pro sports. Maybe not wrong about that. A few votes there, a lot of votes for Tiger because of the value in golf. In the meantime, you guys can keep chiming in. 888 say ESPN 888-729-3776. We're going to get more of your thoughts on the MVP. And also, for the Patriots, did they make the mistake trading Jimmy G? We'll get your thoughts on that as well. It's First Take, Your Take on ESPN Radio. I'm Jason Fitz. Oh, and because, we're just getting a rhythm here, guys. It's live radio. We're brought to you by Indeed. When it comes to hiring, you don't have time to waste. You need to get your short list of qualified candidates fast. That's why you need Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes. Set up screener questions based on your job requirements. Then zero in on qualified candidates using intuitive online dashboard. Your time is precious. Let Indeed help you get to your short list of qualified candidates, and discovered why more than 3 million businesses use Indeed for hiring. Post a job today at Indeed.com/hire. That's Indeed.com/hire. Again, did they make a mistake trading Jimmy G? We'll answer that question from your perspective next. It's First Take, Your Take. I'm Jason Fitz. I'm Jason Fitz on ESPN Radio.
The satisfying crunch of Nature Valley Crunchy Bars can keep your family going, which means more outside fun for you. And with whole grain oats and real delicious honey, it's really tasty too. Nature Valley Oats and Honey Crunchy Bars.
Stephen A. Smith here. If you're like me, you have a mortgage and a family who depends on your income, then you need to protect the ones you love with life insurance. Life insurance can help pay off a mortgage or send the kids to college. It's peace of mind. Think you can afford it? Chances are Select Quote can help you get it for less than $1 a day. Select Quote comparison shops up to 10 highly rated companies, including Prudential, Banner Life, and Mutual of Omaha, and others, to find you the company with the best rates. For example, Select Quote could find a 35-year-old man a $500,000 policy for under $21 a month. That's less than $1 a day. Select Quote's breakthrough technology allows them to quickly match you with the best insurance company to find your best policy. Plus, quotes are free. Start protecting your family today. Call Select Quote at 1-800-601-6992. That's 1-800-601-6992. Or go to selectquote.com/Smith.
Get full details in the example policy at selectquote.com/commercials. Your premium could vary depending on health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.